We're going live now. This second, if this is the beginning of the episode, welcome to another episode of Money Talks. That's where the camera is today. You should notice that the video quality has gotten better, and I am actually starting with the microphone on, which is a nice surprise. Hello, Stephen Carey. Welcome to the episode. Thank you for being the first commenter. This week, let's go to the slide. This week is going to be about how many Cineworld shares do I have in my portfolio? What did I pay for them? Where are they now? And stuff like that. I did do a ton of research on like Avatar this week, and I was thinking live now this second. If this is the beginning of the episode, welcome to another episode. Is there a ringing sound? If there is a ringing sound, I'm sorry about that. I think I can fix it. Let me try this. Hopefully that fixes the ringing sound. So we'll just give that a second to see if that is better now. Sorry about that. You might have to let me know, because basically what I've done is they've taken the microphone off charge. So yeah, this week I'm going to be talking about how many Cineworld shares I have. I bought some more recently, but me saying that could be deceiving. So I think it's good to tell you how much I paid for my shares and what the value of them is now. So just I am actually starting with the microphone. Okay. All right, we'll see in a minute whether the microphone audio is fixed. I'm just going to pour myself a beer this week. This is a Cross Striker. Evening, Sam. Hello. Right. Here we are. I hope you poured yourself. Oh, it's very dark. I'm usually a pale ale guy myself, but I've got a weird box of crates of beer. So yeah, let's get into how many shares I have this week. And the reason I want to talk about that, I think that's something that you guys might be interested in. I've done all this content on Cineworld after all. And also, yes, I was doing a lot of research into Avatar and comparing it to the original Avatar release. And like, it was impressive that Avatar in the bid and stuff like that. And there's one big thing that has happened this week that makes me feel as though I can't really provide much value in terms of like my analysis because of this big thing, which this should give you an indicator of what the big thing is. It's one of the brilliant things about Berkshire Hathaway, and I think one of the great lessons of Berkshire Hathaway is this quote from Charlie Munger. Part of Berkshire's secret is when there's nothing to do, Warren Buffett is pretty good at doing nothing. And yeah, that's kind of where I feel like we are this week. So there's a lot, when there's nothing substantial that's come out about the stock in the past week, and I know that Avatar box office numbers coming out every day are meaningful, but they just don't tell us whether we're going to be in bankruptcy or out of bankruptcy come February. So what I want to talk about is more just my portfolio, my insights. If you've got any questions, I will answer them. But yeah, I did a ton of, I'm always doing research on Cineworld. And one of the things I've noticed is when there's no real news, you can end up making a really big mountain out of the tiniest molehill. And really, we are waiting for an actual mountain of information to come along. And we just won't get that until an earnings release or something like that. So yeah, what do I think about a null net operating loss motion is coming, which would lead to Cineworld being taken private and existing shareholders being bought out? That's one of the things I was reading about. I believe it was your link, Stefan, to the London Stock Exchange site, and that guy is particularly interesting. I'd love to have a chat with him. I hope he comes. Maybe you'd be interested in coming in the live stream. Elvis Rocks is his username, and he is apparently studying bankruptcy filings, historic bankruptcy filings, and stuff like it for university degree for 3 years, which is really cool. And he seems to know a lot. But at the same time, what he's saying is that a null filing, a net operating loss filing, may be coming in. And until it does come in, then it's not news. It's just speculation. And maybe it's happened 100 times before, but that doesn't tell me that it's going to happen on this stock. So interesting. Also, what Elvis Rock seems to be bullish on Cineworld maybe I got that wrong. Elvis Rocks, if you're watching this, please correct me. But Elvis Rocks seems to be very bullish on Cineworld, and what he's saying is that if they file a net operating loss and go private, then whoever takes the Cineworld shares will likely want to buy them off existing shareholders, because they could then use the net operating loss of Cineworld shares. Cineworld shares have enormous losses on their balance sheet. Whoever buys them can use that loss to write off taxes from other businesses. So if they have a profitable business and they consolidate that into their business, they consolidate Cineworld shares into their business, they can use the net losses from Cineworld to write off the profits of the taxes, against their other businesses. So they could save a ton in taxes. So yeah, Cineworld to a business like Amazon could have tremendous value by just saving them millions in taxes. And then of course they get the underlying business. So it's likely that if it was to file the net operating loss, then there would be actual money in it for shareholders. At least that's how I interpreted it. I'm not an expert on bankruptcy filings. I'm starting to know a lot more about them, but I'm no expert. So yeah, how much Cineworld do I have? That's something I am an expert on. I want to talk about how many shares I have, what did I pay for them, my average buy, and the percentage of my portfolio. Actually, so yeah, I did a thing the other day where I added up everything in my portfolio. I've not put that there. So let me just get the overall value of my portfolio in front of me. Okay, I got it there. Cool. So what price will Avatar 2 hit? Oh, that's from like last week. If you want to know what price Avatar 2 will hit, go see last week's live stream. Okay, so that says it on every page. Anyway, ignore what price will Avatar 2 hit on every page here. What I have on eToro, I have 5,550 shares that I paid around $2,000 for. On an app called Free Trade, I have 25,000 shares, and on Hargreaves Lansdown, I have 2,561 shares. Now, I'm going to talk about how much the total shares I have here then are 33,459, and the total value is 1,333, which obviously is that relative to my overall portfolio. My overall portfolio value today, it's gone down a lot with everything that's happened last year, is 46,000. And so that's like 2% of my portfolio, but my total invested, my net invested is 8,891. And my hope, what would be absolutely fantastic, is if the share price goes to £1 per share in the next 12 months, potentially 12 months. I mean, it's going to zero or it's going to £1 a share at least. It was, remember, a year ago at £120 per share, and obviously they lost a lawsuit and then filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And so if they come out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy and they win the appeal on the lawsuit, then it can go to £120 per share easy, but it's got to actually do those things, and that's what everyone disagrees on. But if it did, then I've got £33,000 in the next year, which would be lovely. And so I look at this as I have, I don't look at this as I have lost £8,000. I don't think about that, because ultimately I've had a lot of success in investing, which has led to where my portfolio is today. And so, you know, you've got to take, like, I have learned a lot from this, which is valuable, but also, yeah, when you're investing, your money's at risk. And this is a lesson in risk for me and how risky I want to go in the future. Let's see if there's any quick questions here. No questions, guys? Come on, throw your questions in. I love having your questions. Okay. But yes, I am thinking about purchasing more shares, but I want to wait. The price is so cheap right now that I'd rather wait until we had confirmation that we're out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy before I put more shares in. But yes, definitely I'm excited for the point at which I could put in more equity. Right, so the next thing I would like to share with you guys, or just go into with you guys, Box Office Mojo, and just have a look at the Avatar 2 statistics. I still haven't got my shares. Me and my brother are going to see Avatar 2 this weekend on Saturday. let me have a look. Home of the box office, Avatar: The Way of the Water. What's this article here? This article is always interesting. Avatar: The Way of Water dives in with below expectations, 134 million. Yeah, so that's the one from the other day when I came here. And so let's see. Opening weekend, yeah, this is just below what we were hoping for. The worldwide grosses so far, 500 million, which is lovely. But yeah, a lot of people are thinking, oh, Avatar 2's out. Why isn't Cineworld share moving? Or like, it's just Avatar 2. If it had been one of those crazy blockbuster events, then it potentially would have just wiped. It would have brought in so much cash that it would have wiped any doubt from anyone. But it hasn't been one of those sort of crazy events. It's not gotten what Spider-Man did domestically, but it has done very well worldwide so far. And so, but what I think we will get from Avatar, which you don't necessarily get from films like Spider-Man, is people will definitely wait to see Avatar in IMAX. Where, so I think what we're going to see is the IMAX screens be filled out for longer. And also, I think, yeah, then you've got popcorn sales and stuff like that on top of that. So I think when people go to see a film like this, they really make an event of it. And I think it does encourage people to do more spending when they get to the cinema. So, yeah, that is what I think will happen. And we're seeing that a little bit. This was the second biggest Monday of all time. So we are seeing that people are showing up on the other days that they might usually not turn up. And actually, that's quite amazing that it's gone up on Tuesday. So let's just compare the opening weekend of, say, Spider-Man. Do I have it here? No. Spider-Man No Way Home. So you only get, as far as I'm aware, and I'd love any of you to recommend a site. Oh, by the way, guys, actually, no, I won't get sidetracked. I just want to check this first, but I want to talk to you about, I've got audio recordings for you. So original release, 2022 release. So original release is what we want. And then domestic, like you can go to Belgium and yeah, no data and stuff like that. Basically, only domestic on this site can I seem to get this sort of really accurate opening weekend data, which is the most useful to me right now, I feel. But this is why I don't feel like there's not a lot. This doesn't actually tell you how much Cineworld is making, which is why I thought it'd be fun to just talk about how much I've invested into the business so far. So, oh, by the way, so yeah, I have invested around 2% of my portfolio, but that's unrealized. So I actually put in 8,891, so 46, 81 divided by 46 is, no, 46 divided by, God, what am I doing? 46 divided by 8.8, no, 8.8, Jesus, okay, you can tell it's been a long day. The equity I put in was around the calculator app is garbage. 20% of my portfolio, which yeah is a sizable chunk. Anything over 10% is a big chunk, is a big bet. Okay, so Monday, Spider-Man actually got 40 million on the Monday domestically. And if we go back to Avatar, the opening Monday is 16 million. So that's domestic, by the way. So this film, Spider-Man does really well in the US, unsurprisingly, and Avatar does really well worldwide. And obviously worldwide, Avatar has already grossed one quarter. In one weekend, Avatar has grossed 1/4 of what Spider-Man No Way Home got the entire time it was in box office, and it's got 1/3 of Top Gun has grossed worldwide so far. So yeah, we can tell that this is going to hit $1 billion easy. The question is, and it will very likely hit 1.5 billion. The question is, will it hit 2 billion? That would be really cool if it hit that worldwide. And it's a film like this really does appeal to a broader audience, like all over Europe, Israel, UK, and America. So that is why we are excited for Avatar, but we need it to play its course. Right, let's see if there's any more questions. Why have Cineworld shares been falling? Because of AMC pulling out of acquisition talks, with Cineworld already announced they will leave the Chapter 11 intact. Okay, so Cineworld have announced that they're planning to emerge intact, and it's not the same thing as emerging intact. And also what you've got is AMC pulling out is just like, well, one of the things is I wonder if someone was pushing down the price, if AMC were pushing down the price. I don't like speculating on that stuff because it's really hard to know what's happening, but we did see some high levels of volume of activity, high amounts of trading on Cineworld. So there was some form of either a big institutional investor pulled out, but I feel like if that had happened, we would have seen, I would have gotten you get an email update when big institutional investors pull out more than 5%, something like that. So this does feel like a bit of share price manipulation by some institutional investor. Potentially, someone's trying to buy shares up. Well, this is the thing, speculation is ridiculous, but potentially someone could be buying, trying to push the price down so that they can buy shares after it emerges that Cineworld is coming out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. There's all sorts of things that could be going on. But that's the thing, you can't, market price, the share price of a stock is so unreliable as a source of information. So the way, like the fact that the share price has gone up does not tell you that things are going well. And the fact that the share price is going down, as it has done just this week, does not tell you that things are going badly. And especially when a stock that has a revenue of 3 billion in normal operations is currently priced at 60 million, there is easily there's an enormous amount of eyes on the stock. It's the world's second largest cinema chain, and it's got such a low share price that it's so easy to manipulate. So I think it's like a day trader's dream. AMC pulling out will have easily been information that day traders tried to jump on, so they pushed the share price down and tried to profit off of it. Also, it's just the fact that, like, although you don't want to sell to AMC, and this could have been part of why AMC pulled out, is like Cineworld equity holders were like, no way, the board of directors were probably like, we don't want to do that. But also, it just shows that AMC are struggling at the minute. They've had a bad quarter. They've had a bad financial quarter, which just shows, you know, they are also part of the cinema industry. So what you kind of actually want to see is Cineworld saying no to AMC, but AMC also wanting to bid on the stock because they are also a cinema company. So the fact that AMC are doing badly kind of suggests that cinema as a whole is doing badly, although I don't necessarily think that's the case. So what you have is, with the Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing, Cineworld are able to drop a whole bunch of leases, and they're dropping even more leases now. And I'm wondering whether Cineworld are now fully taking advantage of the fact that they will be emerging from Chapter 11 bankruptcy and are trying to drop as quickly as possible as many leases as they can, because this will be the best opportunity to do it. And Cineworld have bought with Regal. They paid something like 3 to 5 billion for Regal, and that came with a lot of bad leases. Regal had been operating a cinema chain for decades, and they had a lot of really old, crappy cinemas. I think AMC have even more old, crappy cinemas. They're like, I think they are the world's largest cinema chain. And so there's a whole load of cinemas that AMC owns that they would love to drop in a bankruptcy filing, but can't because they are not in Chapter 11, whereas Cineworld can drop as many lease agreements as they like quite easily right now, and so they are taking heavy advantage of that. It's going to be the point at which the share price goes up will be the point at which it is in the filings that Cineworld are going to emerge. Cineworld equity holders will emerge intact. And also you've got to remember that we are in a macroeconomic environment at the minute. People like Elon Musk is one of the chief people that is talking about this, but I mean that's because he's trying to blame the macroeconomic environment for why Tesla shares are going down. I disagree with you, Elon Musk, but anyway, this is not Tesla moon or bust, this is Cineworld. The fact is, there's a thing that I was learning about recently. There's Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway, the world's largest hedge fund, seems to be buying Japanese stocks in the minute. And the Japanese currency, the Japanese yen, has incredibly low interest rates right now. And what I was thinking that he might be doing is he seems to be buying up dividend stocks that have a dividend of around 1%, 1 to 2 to 4%. So he could be buying Japanese businesses with Japanese yen and then holding the US dollar, so he can have a certain amount of US dollars, so that if this plan goes tits up and he doesn't get any dividends, then he can use US dollar, convert that into yen, and pay down his the really cheap yen, because the interest rate on the yen is so low, he can pay down the interest rates really easily. But it means that he can just get a bunch of Japanese yen, use that to buy Japanese businesses, and then use the dividends from those businesses to pay off the yen. And when he wants, he can completely exit his position and then buy an American business when the market conditions that suit him. And what that made me think about was the fact that with interest rates higher, no one's going to be borrowing money to buy businesses. So if you could get an interest rate of 2%, think about it. What you would do is you would borrow as much money as you could. You'd buy a company with an 8% dividend or whatever, anything higher than 2%, and the dividend from that company you could use to pay the interest on your loan. And so you've got no one doing that right now. You've got so much less leverage in the market. And so it's not just that there's less cash, there's less credit around. In fact, there's more credit than there is cash. And the fact that there's less credit is one of the reasons that share prices are really struggling on the upside potential. So it's not like people don't recognize that a lot of these businesses will be higher in the future, and will get, like, loads of people recognize that these companies will get higher returns than a premium bond account, but they just don't have money or credit in order to purchase them. And so that's the environment that we're in. Now, when Cineworld emerges from Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the idea is that the amount of cash that you could potentially get from it would be so appetizing, and the downside risk would be so heavily reduced that it would go up at least to 200 million, 300 million, which would be a fraction of its annual revenue from 2019. So yeah, the share price at the minute, the reason it's volatile is because it's just so unbelievably low, but it's unlikely that that will stay the case for much longer. So, it will, it will, in January or February more likely, it will be 0 or it will be £1. And £1 would be low, by the way. I still think £1 would be incredibly, incredibly low. That's where we'll be in February, 0 or £1. And for me, the downside risk now is, as I've shown you, the downside risk was 8,000, and I wouldn't put 8,000 in today. I would probably put 1,000 in today. But when I invested, they weren't filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and I didn't think we were going to get to this position. Now I have £1,000 invested, and I'm comfortable with that. And if the environment changes where it looks like and I see filings that they're going to emerge from bankruptcy, I don't care that I'll miss the opportunity to buy it at 5p. 20p would still be an absolute steal, in my opinion. And I'd rather get in at 20p knowing that they're going to be out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So That's kind of what I want to talk about this week, is the fact that we just can't. There are going to be weeks where there's no information, and when there are weeks there's no information, it's not like there's nothing we can learn. It's not like we can't speculate on null filings and stuff like that. They're interesting for sure, and they are potential outcomes. So I'm interested in exploring them. But until a null filing is filed, it's not news, and it shouldn't affect the share price, and it shouldn't affect what we're doing, because even though we could speculate about it, there was always potential for a null filing. There was always potential for a null filing, unless, of course, I'd be very interested to know if Elvis Rocks could explain why he's so sure that that is going to happen. It just sounds like he thinks there's potential for it, and I do appreciate that he shared that information, and that is good information. Right, I think that is all I could talk about this week. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you have had a beer yourself and chilled out. I'm just gonna go to the stream section. Okay, there will be another stream next week, guys. Also, oh yes, God, how could I almost forgotten to talk about this? I have gone onto the Chapter 11 bankruptcy site. In the description for this video, if you click on the description, there is a section that says, there's a section that says Chapter 11 Cineworld Bankruptcy Enhanced Audio Files. And so on the Chapter 11 bankruptcy filings, the K-roll site, there are audio files from the bankruptcy meetings. And I've downloaded all those audio files, I've named them, and I have put them through Adobe's Audio Enhancer, and then put them on a G Drive link. So you can listen to the audio files, and when I listen to them on the K-roll site, they are so awful. So I put them through an enhancer so that you can listen to them better. Now, when audio is really, really bad, you can't tell what these people are saying, but at least you can hear what the judge is saying nicely, and a lot of the noise, background noise and stuff, they're just a hell of a lot more pleasant to listen to. So yeah, that's in the description. Please click on that, open it up, have a listen to the bankruptcy audio files. If we all listen to them, we're all going to pick up on a hell of a lot more information. I really enjoyed listening to a couple of them today, the enhanced audio files. So yeah, please let me know what you think of them. Chat to you soon, and goodbye. I'm going to sit here for a minute again, just to make sure that you don't miss the end of the video. So I'm going to sit here, sip my beer, and then click end stream in about a minute's time, because that's about generally how much it cuts off. This always feels awkward. I can see the beer in my hand on the footage, so I think we're good. I'm just going to give it another 10 seconds. By the way, liking and subscribing is free. Remember that. All right. Goodbye, chaps.